Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. How y'all feeling?
Feeling good.
Peace,
Good,
Morgan.
good. All right, let's get into it, y'all. It's still Women's History Month, right? So President Trump, he honored the occasion, right? So speaking from the East Room of the White House, Trump said women have expanded the American dream throughout the country's history. Let's take a listen to Trump.
Throughout our history, strong, tough, visionary women have defended our flag, strengthened our communities, explored new frontiers, and expanded the American dream for all of our children and all of our people.
Yay. So Trump said women are important to the country, adding women today are helping lead the country into what he called the golden age of America. He also told the women in attendance that he believes they will be the next dominant leaders. So shout out to all the women. It is still Women's History Month. And with only 5 days left in the month, he honors, yes. All right, so in other front page presidential news, Trump is downplaying the Signal group chat about the U.S. attacks against the Houthis that included a reporter. Now, this comes as The Atlantic has published even more screenshots from the encrypted message service that showed exact times of U.S. strikes in Yemen against the Iranian-backed group. Now, despite that, Trump continues to slam the app, the journalist, the publication, and he expresses absolute faith in his intelligence officials. He claimed the media is missing the bigger picture, which is the success of the attack. Let's hear those comments from Trump.
The attacks have been very successful, even beyond our wildest expectations. We've hit them very hard, very successfully.
Yeah, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also slammed the journalist and the publication and said that these additional Signal chat messages confirmed there were no classified materials or war plans shared. Let's hear those comments from Hegseth.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
So this is arguable.
Two things can be true, right? Attacks can be successful, but guess what? They wouldn't be if someone intercepted those messages on Signal before they were able to implement the attacks. I mean, that didn't happen in this case, but it could happen in the future.
Absolutely, that's right. So Atlantic editor Jeffrey Goldberg and a writer from the publication said that it's those type of comments, the slams and all of that, that led them to releasing everything to the public so that they can decide for themselves. Now, former intelligence officials are saying usually when something like this happens, the person responsible for the leak would have their security clearance revoked. They would be removed from their position and an investigation would commence to ensure there was no ill intent and it was in fact accidental. But yeah, you see what's happening here. Trump is standing 10 toes and supporting his intelligence officials in this regard. In other news, a federal appeals court is upholding an order blocking the Trump administration from deporting migrants under the Rarely Used Alien Enemies Act. The 2-1 decision happened on Wednesday with a panel of judges who opted not to lift the order from the U.S. District Judge James Boasberg. The judge had issued an order after the administration began deporting immigrants it claimed were connected to a Venezuelan gang. The Justice Department urged the appeals court to block the order, calling it an infringement on the authority of the president in matters of national security. So Boasberg is expected to rule soon on whether there will be a longer injunction granted in that case. You know, that was the case of the deportees towards Venezuela and El Salvador, and whether or not that plane was deporting those migrants at the time before or after that judge issued the order. So right now that block is standing, and that judge will issue a full order on what will happen with with migrants going forward and whether or not they can be deported. So yeah. That's your front page news for 6 a.m., guys. 7 a.m., we're talking tariffs. Tariff talk. Y'all know we love it, right?
No.
You said no. I know. Well, get ready. Whether you like it or not, get ready.
Morning, everybody. It's DJNV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get back in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk tariffs. So President Trump is imposing new tariffs on automobiles not made in America. And he signed the executive order yesterday on Wednesday saying the tariffs will go into effect April 2nd. He said the goal is to increase domestic manufacturing of cars and auto parts, and those who purchase American-made vehicles will have more incentives. So let's hear Trump talk auto tariffs.
And what we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. If you borrow money to buy a car, you're allowed to deduct interest payments for purposes of income tax, but only if the car is made in America. So if the car is made in America, you get a loan, you can deduct the interest. That's a big saving.
Trump says the tariffs will bring up to $1 trillion of revenue into the U.S. within the first year. What do you guys think? You excited about this? Or, not so much the tariffs, but the fact that, there's an incentive behind if you have an American-made car. That could probably be good for some people in the grand scheme of what's going on.
Well, it'll be good for a lot of people. A lot of people get to write off a lot of things. And I was having dinner with somebody last night, and they were heavily into the tariffs, heavily into politics. And they were saying it's not necessarily a bad thing. They said when you go to a lot of these countries, you don't see too many American-made cars in these countries.
True.
You see mostly their cars in their countries. But when you come here, you see mostly, other cars that are not made here. And they said it could be a thing that, helps people make a lot of money, save a lot of money, and create a lot of jobs. So they weren't too bad about the tariffs on cars.
One thing that I thought was really fascinating about this, he was asked if Elon Musk advised him at all. Elon has the Tesla thing going on. So he was asked if Elon Musk had advised him on auto tariffs, to which he responded no, because that would be a conflict. He also went on to say Elon is an amazing person, but he said Elon has never asked him for any favors in regards to business, which he is actually surprised by. But that makes me wonder, whose idea was it to have the Tesla pop up at the White House? But let me put on for Maryland real quick, while also putting you guys onto some info, some tea. So can you believe that yesterday, March 26th, was the 1-year anniversary of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse that happened in Maryland? You guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It claimed 6 lives of construction workers. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, he honored the victims and spoke more about rebuilding. Let's hear from my governor.
There were 6 Marylanders who we lost that day. And everything that has happened in that past year, it starts and ends with them. It starts and ends with their families. We are going to make sure that we are going to get this bridge built on time and on budget. And it is going to make sure that it leads up to all industry standards on safety.
So Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen, Congressman Kwesi Mfume, and others took part in the commemoration ceremony. The tribute was held to remember those who were lost and those who responded, and to celebrate the resilience of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. But the tea is, the National Transportation and Safety Board, or the NTSB, named 68 bridges throughout the country, 13 locally between my area and y'all, that are in need of study. They say the bridges listed aren't necessarily in imminent risk of collapse, but the agencies managing those bridges simply don't know what the risk would be if they were to be struck by a ship, which is what happened here in the Baltimore area. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the local bridges listed include the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, Williamsburg Bridge, Verrazano Bridges, and in New Jersey, the Outer Bridge Crossing and the Newark Bay Bridge are also on the list. So New York DOT says it's reviewing NTB's request. What do you guys think about that? I mean, are you even thinking about it as you drive across these bridges coming in and out of work?
Well, every time I drive over a bridge, I definitely think what would happen if it would fall while I'm on it, or something would hit it. But so you're saying that they're saying that it's not like a cause for action, like, it's not like, hey, it's an immediate response, but it's like, hey, y'all might want to go ahead and look at those just in case something like this was to happen. Would your bridge be able to withstand a cargo container ship slamming into one of its pillars? Yeah, because the bridge in Baltimore that collapsed, it looked so weak. It looked like it wasn't even, wasn't strong enough. Yeah.
Yes, when that cargo container, the dolly hit it last year. I can't believe that it's already been a year.
Yeah, I don't think any bridge could withstand that though, right? That's not supposed, because that's not supposed to happen. A cargo container isn't supposed to hit a bridge.
Absolutely not. But you want to make sure that
I don't think no bridge is designed to withstand a direct high-speed collision with a massive cargo ship.
But it's not only that, but I don't know if you've been watching, especially in this area, a lot of these roadways have been getting sinkholes out of nowhere, shut down highways. I seen it on Route 80, which is a major highway that connects pretty much, Jersey to New York City. There was a sinkhole. Then there was another sinkhole on 287. And I heard a sinkhole, there was one in Atlanta. Then I heard a huge sinkhole in Houston where cars are actually falling in them. You know what I mean?
Man, I got one in my driveway. Every freaking year. We get that thing filled up every year, and it just opens back up. I want to know what's down there.
No,
man,
you
but
don't.
no, and you raise a really good point that, what can you do in certain situations when it comes to just the structures that we tend to not even think about as we're driving across them, whether they be bridges, or roadways or whatever the case is. So something to think about. But that pretty much does it for me. That's your front page news. Follow me on socials at Morgan Media, and for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Thank y'all. Have a great Thursday.
Thank you, Morgan.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.